I like to drink with Shonda, cause Shonda is my mate. I like to drink with Shonda, cause she gets it down in 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
She was doing the right thing, and that's what angers me.
In the early hours of September 3rd, 2023, just a few hours after midnight, a woman dropped dead in front of the Hollywood Coney Island in Detroit's west side after bullets were pumped into her body. This was 27-year-old Danae Wilbert, a deeply loved mother, sister, cousin, niece, and friend who was a bright light to the world despite every darkness she faced. The anxious calls of other patrons and witnesses who had heard the gunshots quickly brought emergency services running to the scene of the crime, but it was too late. Despite all their efforts, the sweet and loving young woman was declared dead, and an intense sadness gripped the community. Her death swiftly pushed a clamor for the arrest of her killers. Who would rob a family of their child so heartlessly, and why? The police investigation would reveal a shocking answer. Danae was killed simply for trying to do the right thing. She stepped in to break up a dispute, acting out of kindness. But her good deed came at a devastating cost. What she thought was over wasn't. Someone wasn't pleased with her involvement, and they made sure she paid for it. This is the life and death of Danae Nicole Wilbert.
I'm not leaving this motherfucking parking lot till I find my wallet. Tried to kill you today. So what? Let them come on out here. I've been looking for them and they've been looking for me. And goddamn it, we can meet right here on the motherfucking concrete and scrap like a motherfucker right now.
Her story takes us to the city of Detroit, Michigan, which is also known as the Motor City. It is famed for its automotive legacy and for being the birthplace of Motown music. Once a booming industrial hub, the city has faced decades of economic decline. It is rich in culture, with a strong music, food, and art scene, but has long struggled with high crime. In 2023, despite slight improvements, Detroit remained one of the most dangerous cities in the U.S., with hundreds of homicides and persistent gun violence continuing to impact daily life. It was in the streets of such danger that Danae tried to be a light to the world, and her desire to help others would lead to her end. Born on November 18, 1995, Danae Nicole Wilbert was full of energy, heart, and curiosity. She was the kind of kid who stood out not just because of her smile, but because of the way she made others feel seen. From an early age, she showed signs of the compassion that would define her as an adult. Family members recall her as gentle but strong-willed, with a big heart and an ever bigger sense of responsibility for those around her, leading her to start up her own business as an entrepreneur. This big heart and giving spirit took her through school, making the best friends she could along the way. Anyone who spent time with her always left wanting more of her energy. This made her highly loved and appreciated. She was funny, spirited, and warm. As she got older, she never lost this spirit, and she continued to attract people to her, including one who would be a significant part of her life. Much later in life, Danae met a man who would become the love of her life. Their connection was instant. What began as a spark quickly grew into a deep, passionate bond.
I'm gonna seek you off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can't see you.
As their relationship deepened, they dreamt of building a life together, starting a family, and creating something lasting. Then, one day, Danae received news that would bring those dreams to life. Danae found out she was pregnant and was going to be a mother. Everyone was overjoyed because it was clear to all that she would be the best mother ever. She was such a selfless and loving soul that family and friends were assured that she would be an amazing mom. Their little family continued to grow as the young couple went on to have another child, now a family of 4. Danae deeply and completely loved her two sons, but she made a smart decision that is rare in the modern world. Danae kept her kids off social media. Despite being so friendly and loving, Danae kept her life as private as possible. Although she had social media accounts, she barely posted about her children, maintained a private Instagram account, and barely even posted on Facebook. Even her TikTok mostly consisted of her and her friends. Among these friends, it was easy to see that Danae had surrounded herself with a solid group that loved her, supported her, and had her back. Across her social media, there were multiple videos of Danae sharing great times and making great memories with her core group of women.
Most heartless. Who's the meanest? Who's the biggest?
Most likely to die single. Who is the alcoholic? Looks like a baddie but is actually a softie. Most likely to get scammed and not even know it. First to die in a zombie apocalypse. Most likely to get arrested. Most likely to be found dead in front of their computer. Person you would go to for advice if you f***ed up.
Much like Danae, her friends were positive, hardworking women who faced life's challenges with resilience at heart. Together, they made it a point to carve out moments of joy. They celebrated themselves and their children whenever they could, even in the midst of struggle. Their bond was a safe haven for Danae, a circle where support flowed freely and no one stood alone. Then, one day, Danae shared news that gave them a powerful new reason to celebrate. She was getting married. Her boyfriend and long-term partner had proposed, and it was time to start planning a wedding. Danae was excited and everything was looking up for her. So, she went out to celebrate and unwind with her friends.
I like to drink it whiskey because he gets it down in 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I like to drink with mama because mama is my mate. I like to drink with mama because she gets it down in 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
But this night out was one of many. And it was on one such of nights that everything changed forever. On September 2nd, 2023, Danae and her friends went out to have some drinks and enjoy a good time out. The fun and memories rolled into the next day, September 3rd, 2025. It was only early that morning that everyone began to break apart and go home. But Danae was too hungry to head straight home, and this led them to make a deadly stop. In the company of her friends, Danae stopped by the Hollywood Coney Island on Grand River Avenue to grab some food. This was a couple of hours past midnight and was supposed to be a quick in and out. But something else caught Danae's attention. As she placed her order, a dispute broke out in the restaurant. It was a heated argument between two men and a woman that quickly drew the attention of the few patrons and staff inside, including Danae. She stood nearby, quietly watching as the tension grew, unsure of how far things might go. As she waited for her food, she felt a familiar pull. She faced an inner conflict between minding her own business and stepping in to help before things got worse. In the end, she made a choice that was true to her character. Danae interfered with the dispute. She did not particularly choose sides, she simply wanted everyone to go home before they did something they would regret. This was her only plea, as she tried to get everyone to calm down, but no matter how hard she tried, things weren't getting better, and Danae soon realized she had to get out. Recognizing the potential danger, Danae removed herself from the conflict took her food from the staff and headed out to her car. As she walked alone in the dark, her mind was set on getting home to her fiancé and their kids. Little did she know that she was being followed by people who would make that impossible. Before she could reach her car, Danae was suddenly stopped. She turned and found herself face to face with her killer. Without warning, a shot rang out, striking her and leaving her critically wounded as the attacker vanished into the night. In a split second, everything had changed. The gunshots shattered the night, sparking chaos as panicked witnesses flooded 911 with calls. Within minutes, emergency services arrived, rushing to get Danae to the hospital, fighting against the clock to save what little life she might still have. But the damage was done. By the time they got her there, it was already too late. On September 3rd, 2023, at around 3:30 a.m., Danae Nicole Wilbert was dead from gunshots. The police instantly launched an investigation to figure out who would take Danae away from her family and friends for such a silly reason. Their initial questions quickly unraveled something that is both sad and a relief. That night, no one else was shot. Only Danae had been shot, leaving the public with mixed feelings. While being thankful that there was no mass casualty, it was an undeniable pain to learn that Danae was punished for simply doing the right thing and being a good person. Her death threw a silent shock over the community, and especially her family. When Danae Wilbert's family received the news of her death, their world came crashing down. Her mother, LaDonna Kemp, recalled the heartbreak and disbelief they felt as the details of that night slowly surfaced. It was hard to believe that just hours earlier, Danae had been out enjoying herself with friends, and now she was no more. Her mother described Danae as someone who was always dancing, upbeat, and happy. Danae's personality left a mark on everyone she met. Her family remembered how she could bring light to even the darkest and hardest moments, and was convinced that if the person who did this to her had known her for about 10 minutes, he would have never harmed her.
The person that did this to her would have known her for about 10 minutes, he wouldn't have never harmed her.
As news of the fight had led to her death spread, it raised rumors and questions about Danae's involvement. Some started to wonder whether she had fueled that fire that burned her in the end. But her mother had a definite answer to that. LaDonna was certain Danae didn't start any trouble that night. She simply wanted everyone to get home safely.
Just wanted everybody to go home and get home. And I'm very sure in my thoughts of knowing that she wanted to get home. I guess the guy followed her out and she was able to get herself out of the restaurant and she was shot in the parking lot.
Her selflessness was her greatest virtue and, ultimately, her fatal flaw. But being that kind of a person came with risks. In fact, this wasn't the first time her family had worried that her compassion might put her in harm's way.
Well, we know the family's absolutely devastated, but they have so many questions too in terms of the investigation. Police are still trying to piece a lot of things together themselves, but the family has questions relating to how can something like this happen when their daughter tried to do the right thing.
She led with her heart. She would give you the shirt off of her back. She was always helping people.
LaDonna Kemp says that's exactly what her daughter was doing when her life was stolen from her over the Labor Day weekend. Family members say 27-year-old Danae Wilbert was down at Hollywood Coney Island on Detroit's west side early Sunday morning, not long after she tried to break up a fight.
We had to even tell her, like, you can't pull over in your car when you're by yourself because you see somebody on the road and they need help because it's dangerous out there. But she was kind of like the type of person that would have to, like, try or see for herself.
It started with Danae and her girlfriends having a fun night out. They went to the Coney Island for a bite to eat when an argument developed between two men and a woman, according to sources.
Her mother shared that the family has had to warn Danae not to pull over in her car when she was all by herself, simply because she sees someone on the road who needs help, as it could be dangerous out there. But Danae always had to try to see for herself. She would give the shirt off her back if it was needed. She was on the edge of so many new beginnings, a wedding, starting a new job. Now, all that was taken away. In the aftermath, the family was devastated but also deeply moved by what they saw when they went to identify her. When they identified and viewed her body, Danae still had a smile on her face, and she looked very peaceful.
I'm so at peace with knowing that even within this tragic situation, that my daughter still went out peacefully, because when we identified and viewed her body, my daughter still had a smile on her face, and she looked very peaceful.
Though they weren't allowed to touch her, that serene smile offered a small moment of comfort in their overwhelming grief. But they still had something they needed to share with the world. Her father, Charles Kemp, emphasized that Danae was far more than just another name in a headline. He was passionate about people recognizing that she was a person, not a statistic. She was a mother, a friend, an aunt, a cousin.
I want people to understand that she was a person, not
A
a
mother,
statistic.
a friend,
She
an
was my
aunt,
daughter,
a
an
cousin.
aunt. Yes.
I just never thought that I would ever have to post on social media RIP, and definitely not for my child.
The senselessness of the violence hit the broader community so hard that more people began to speak up. Detroit activist Pastor Mo spoke out, both grieving and enraged, because she was just doing the right thing.
She was doing the right thing, and that's what angers me.
As someone who works to teach de-escalation in high-conflict communities, Pastor Mo used the tragedy to emphasize the importance of caution and safety. He shared certain tips when trying to de-escalate a situation, such as making sure you are in a lighted area, reading body language, and assessing whether a person looks too dangerous or indifferent for you to approach. He also shared that it was necessary to be careful when approaching someone with a mental breakdown.
Make sure you're in a lighted area. Read body language. Look and see if they're reaching. Look and see if there's anything poking out their waist. Look at their type of demeanor. If this is the kind of person like they would have a weapon. If this is a working class person who maybe got on work clothes, you might can reason with them. This somebody with a hoodie on. I'm not trying to judge anybody, but this is somebody who looks like they could be dangerous, menacing, or just don't care. Be careful how you approach somebody who could be having a mental breakdown.
Though these pieces of advice could save a life, for Danae Wilbert, they came a beat too late. Her tragedy had already unfolded and the community was left reeling. They turned to the police in desperate search of justice for the senseless violence that stole her away, but were met with an unsettling reality. There has still been no record of arrests made to date. But as days turn into weeks, the silence from law enforcement grew louder.
And no known arrests have been made. Police are still investigating, and they ask anyone with any information, anyone who may have seen something, no matter how small of a detail, to call Detroit police.
No arrests, no answers, just heartbreak and a growing sense that justice might never come. It leaves everyone with one nagging question. Is the police doing enough to bring this killer to justice?
We just heard back from police. They say that there are no updates on this case at this time. That means there have been no arrests. Anyone with information is asked to call police or 1-800-SPEAK-UP.
As police continue searching for Danae's killer, her family is committed to preserving her legacy. Her mother shared that she wants whoever did this to know they took away a bright light that shined on so many different people. Everybody she had ever talked to remembers her amazing personality and shine.
Meantime, Danae's family is determined to make sure her legacy lives on.
I just want whoever did this to know they took away such a bright light that shined on so many different people. Everybody that she ever talked to will remember her because of just her great shine. Just her personality was amazing, and she was amazing.
A funeral was held on September 16th, 2023, at the Triumph Church in J.L. Hudson Drive, Southfield, Michigan. Friends and family came out in large numbers to pay their last respects, while also honoring her on social media under the hashtag #ForeverDanae.
Danae will forever shine upon all of us because her spirit and her love was so huge.
She is survived by her children and her fiancé, who bears the hurt of her absence. In a heartfelt social media post, he shared how he would always love and remember the real her. Years later, hearts continue to break with her killer still being at large. The general public is highly encouraged to help with the investigation in any way possible. If anyone has information regarding this incident, they're asked to call 313-596-2260 or 1-800-SPEAK-UP. up. Danae Wilbert's story is one of light dimmed too soon. A woman who lived with purpose, compassion, and the courage to stand up when it mattered most. Her final act was one of bravery, born from a heart that never turned away from someone in need. As her loved ones fight to keep her memory alive and call for justice, Danae's legacy remains. A reminder that kindness can be powerful, but in a broken world, it can also be dangerous. And until her killer is found, her story is not over, and we are rooting for justice to be served, no matter how long it takes. What do you think of Danae's story? Was it an act of quiet courage or a painful risk taken out of compassion? Let me know what you think in the comments section below.